Right.
Hey, Coach.
Hi.
There's been a lot of chatter on the Maniacs Facebook page the last couple. Yes, thank you. Shocker owes me something for that plug. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there was a feeling in general that there was a lack of energy and it was kind of quiet in the building. Did you feel that at all down on the ice on Saturday?
You know, really, I get focused so much in the game that some of that stuff doesn't register an impact. I will give you a great example of when I did pay attention. I thought the goal call on Patrick Kennedy's goal was the best one I've ever heard in hockey. I gotta tell you, when he let that go, I had a pretty good chuckle. So there's a lot of things I don't necessarily catch on or pay attention to, but that goal call for Patrick Kennedy was a classic.
Did you want to emulate that or try to?
No, that's fine. There's no emulating that one.
All right. Anyone else? Questions for Coach?
Come on up.
Coming on down.
Is there any pressure towards being a new coach?
Here.
Is there any pressure towards being a new coach?
Well, I think that the pressure comes from just making sure that we're putting an entertaining product. I think that obviously there's an excited fan base here. There's an energetic fan base here. There's an expectation and an anticipation of success here. And so that there's that pressure of making sure that we are obviously putting an entertaining brand of hockey on the ice. I mean, let's be honest, there's going to be nights when there's going to be great performances and there's going to be nights when there's not so great performances. But I think that if we can consistently play the way that we've played to this point, I think it can be an entertaining and successful season wrapped up in one. And I think that the pressure comes from there. Outside of that, Mr. Riggs puts all the other pressure on me that that I need.
I put no pressure on him. Let the record show.
I saw the whip in his office. It's there. All right. Anyone else? Questions?
Do you tell the guys when they're allowed to let go on somebody, or do you tell them to try to avoid fights? Because everybody's like, you're not wanting them to fight to not get the penalties, or how does it work with
Well,
the fights?
you know what? I think that there's certain times when a coach has to pull the reins in on some guys, depending on the nature of the score and the time of game. But there's also a lot of these guys have a really good sense of when it's time to do something and when it's not. So I think it's a combination. I think, again, there's certain circumstances that you're going to have to need something to maybe change some momentum or change just the flow of the game. And that doesn't necessarily need to be talked about. It's more about, it's more maybe holding a guy off more than anything from a coach's standpoint. There's bad times to get involved in things, especially, if your team's ahead in games and you're on the road, you don't need to be mixed up in all that kind of stuff, because typically bad things happen. It could be a momentum switch for that home team, or you could sustain an injury in a game that you don't necessarily need to, and we just play. So I think timing and picking your spots is something that I think a coach maybe has more input on. But the players, especially the ones that we have here, they've been professionals long enough. They know when they need to contribute and when they don't as well.
Good question.
I forget which team it was you were talking about, but you were talking about their style of playing is to hang back and that kind of thing. Do you mean like cherry picking or?
No, what happens is okay, a team like Indianapolis on Friday really tried to play an up-tempo game. They didn't stop much behind their own net and set up and have what we call like a controlled breakout. They were really on the go, tried to play with a lot of pace, and I think they found that it got them in a lot of trouble. So on Saturday, I really noticed them dragging the puck back into their own end, making us have to come a long way to forecheck, stopping behind the net, forcing us to stop, and those types of things. I found that an adjustment that they tried to make on Saturday compared to what was going on Friday.
And Coach, on Saturday, one of the things I noticed is that we got real deep into the first period before we actually had a shot on goal. And I think at one point it was probably like 10 or 11 to nothing. Was that at any point in that period a concern to you, or what adjustments, if any, did you make after that?
I'm going to really try hard. I'm not quite sure how to answer this question because, you know, if I looked at the shot clock in the Ford Center after the first period, you know, I would have been pretty troubled. But when I watch back on the videotape and I review the game, I can't find a time when they spent any more than 20 or 30 seconds in our zone at any one time. So I have a really hard time trying to justify what happened. I look at the territorial time, and the only reason I can say this is because that was my comment. I went back and looked at the stat sheet compared to what I saw in video, and I had a really hard time making both what I saw compared to what was in black and white kind of makes sense to me. So I know I'm kind of walking a fine line here, but can the shot clock make a difference in your mentality? Sure, it does. And the only reason I say that is because it's been known in other buildings, usually when you're the visiting team, that you know they try to make it an advantage for mentally anyway. But you know, at the same time, I think it's more territorial for us and quality for us than it is basically number. I know that if our team has, you know, anywhere from 12 to 15 shots a period, then we're really on our game. If we have less than that, then, you know, we've got some work to do. And I know that the shot totals the other day would exemplify that we did have some work to do. But when I watched the video, you know, I wasn't as displeased as I was in real time with how we were playing when I go back and I watch the game.
I have a question for the Maniacs. Are they here tonight? Where are you at? You know, we hate Fort Wayne, right? Okay, that's my question. Because we know the Krug was very popular here. Are we going to say he sucks in the beginning? Are we? I just wanted to know because that's my favorite, my daughter's favorite part of the game. And why didn't they play Sweet Caroline the other night? Because she wanted to say suck so bad. They didn't play it. They didn't? Okay. I just wondered if like there were some Yankee fans in the Iceman front office or something. I don't know. No, good game the other night. I finally got to go to a game. And
Great.
Loved the new product we got out there. You guys
Good,
played
thank
well. Loved the comeback.
Yeah.
It was great. You guys played real well Saturday.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Coach, you mentioned Patrick Kennedy, somebody we assumed we wouldn't see this year. And wondered what you'd expand a little bit on what he brings to your team.
Well, I mean, obviously, he's somebody that's really matured as a player, and you know, he plays such a big role for us in a lot of different situations. But you know, I just watch how, as an individual, he's elevated his game to being an impact guy. And again, I knew he was a talented player and he was a hard-working player, having coached against him. But, you know, at this point in time, he's really, you can see that the time that he's spent at the American Hockey League has really made a difference in him overall. And he hasn't changed how, the thing about Patrick is he doesn't change how he plays. He doesn't come to the ECHL and think that he's a 40-goal scorer when he goes to the American Hockey League and he's a fourth-line, you know, grinder type, you know, player. He plays a consistent game no matter what the level, and that allows him to be successful at both levels, and that's really the difference. And you know, I think that especially for young guys, they get caught up in the fact of they try to change themselves when they adjust levels, and it really doesn't help overall. They have to really stay true to their strengths no matter where they play, and the other things can be built into their game. But you know, Patrick's come in and he's really provided a lot of leadership, but also, you know, I think his game on the ice, he's elevated it to being, you know, really a go-to guy for us.
Coach, Friday night we experienced the dreaded skills competition, aka the shootout, which, meh. How do you determine who you send out for this, for the shootout? How do you determine, because I've seen in, watching Nashville a lot, some of the guys that I would expect to see, you don't see. So I know it's probably coach's decision, but how do you personally figure that out?
Well, I think that sometimes too that can be a little bit of a mystery. There's players on this team that are expected to score and expected to provide us offense, and those are probably one of the criteria that you look at the most. I think sometimes too, if you can find a tendency in a goaltender after the first one or two shooters, you might start to make your selections based on whether or not they're left or right-handed. Some goalies have trouble with right-handed shooters or left-handed shooters, and so that can also go into your selections. Once you get past the first five guys, the rest is kind of just hoping that somebody bangs one in usually. But again, the deeper you can go into your team, obviously the more advantage you have. And again, it really comes down to a couple of things, and it puts a lot of pressure on your goaltender. It really does.
Following up off of that, I mean, you picked Miles Bell the other night. Just talk about the night he had, and was that a factor in you picking him?
Well, all you have to do is basically do some research on Miles Bell. I mean, he's a goal scorer, and he finds the net, and he has the ability to find the net, and you have to trust in that. You really do. I mean, he possesses a deadly shot, and he has great hands, and that's his strength, and it's going to be his strength as a player.
Had a heck of a night the other night, huh?
Well, he's a good player. He just, again, he's a rookie that's, trying to just understand. It's a level change for him now, and I think that he's gotten better and better every night out, and I think that there's still more to come.
And Sean kind of stole half my question. I was going to expand on Bell, but what are your thoughts on both him and Myron or Myron, however you pronounce his last name? Did you have both of them on one line at one time? I thought I saw, but I'm not sure. But what are your thoughts on the two new guys?
Well, obviously, again, we just discussed Miles. I mean, Miles, I think, is a tremendous talent that really, has an offensive history. I think that he's going to have to really work hard in some of the other areas of his game to make himself a real reliable player. But he, you can see that he has it in him. I saw characteristics in him the other night from being physical and just doing some little things that I think are really good signs for the hockey team. I think it's just a maturity level for him. And then, in Wes Myron, he comes to us, as a player that missed the majority of the season last year, finished up in Kalamazoo. The reason I like him, he's 6'2", he can skate like the wind, he has great skill. If he'll be consistently physical with that, then he fits into our system and in our style. And I watched him use that speed to create some offensive opportunities and at the same time create some turnovers. So, I think that again, we flew him from Tulsa into Indianapolis. He drove, got a cab to the game, played, and then got on the bus, came down here and played. I think that the more time that we can incorporate these guys into our group and into our system, they're going to get better and better. And so that's the key. And again, I think that they have to possess certain characteristics that fit here, and that makes it successful.
Coach, any comments about Southern?
It's kind of an interesting turn of events. I had really good discussions late in the summer. Dirk was somebody that really didn't come to our attention until really late in the summer and was a late signing. But in our discussions, I was really impressed with his maturity level, his leadership comments, and what I thought that he could bring to our hockey team. But he arrived here, and from day one, really just seemed kind of different and real quiet. And through that he kind of sustained a little bit of an injury through training camp that he had struggled with, and I just think that he's gotten to a point where he just feels like maybe he needs to take a step back. And those decisions are really hard because sometimes you're faced with them and you really don't know what the next step is. I know that I talked with him for a long time yesterday, and the hardest thing for us is that we know we maybe need to make that step, but we don't know what the next part of our life entails. And this one's a pretty good one, what we're living in right now. I mean, to be able to, hang around with the group and to be on the bus and to share the ups and downs and and to go through these things, it's really an addiction or a disease that you get, and sometimes it's hard to cure.
Well said, Coach. I think we're going to have you draw a prize real quick before you take off.
Dick deep. Babe, we'll let you. All right, so I've got a number here ending in 337. 337.
All right, congratulations, Debbie.
It's probably Tootsie Rolls from what we had left over at Halloween. All right.
All right, Coach Mullins, thank you so much for
I think
joining us again.
you got a question?
Okay.
Sure started the game Saturday night.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He's well rested.
Well, didn't he start Saturday?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And then if you saw, Zach Curry played a lot of really good minutes for us and was a great addition and in fact really was a big factor in us kind of gaining some momentum there in that third period, leading to the tying goal. So, again, I think it goes down to the depth and of the hockey team. And, we always have an extra guy in the lineup that's ready to go in case somebody maybe isn't quite having a great night. So, again, he's doing fine and he'll continue to do fine.
We enjoy the group.
Thank you.
All right. He won't let me let you go.
It's all right. It keeps Guy off the mic.
I was just curious if you could tell us anything about Andre.
Yeah, Andre Morissette, he's on the backside of his shoulder situation. I know that, again, we're going to be real cautious with him and try to just, get this taken care of 100%. You probably won't see him this weekend, but at some point in time next week, I see him getting back into the lineup. And, he had a really good skate today. So we're just kind of making sure that we don't have to deal with any other long-term issues with regards to him. But he's definitely a player that we're looking forward to getting back into the lineup.
What about Peter Sakaris?
Peter Sakaris as well. He's somebody that's ready to go here. I think that it just comes down to lineup and personnel changes or whatever we want to do it on a nightly basis. But Peter's ready to go here. He's worked very, very hard. I thought he had a great training camp for us, and he can be an impact player. He gives us everything he has every night, and it's just a matter of what we have in our lineup on given times. But he's ready to go.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach Mullins.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.